What's up guys, coming at you again with another deck profile. Today we've got one of my favourite decks, the deck I've had quite a bit of success with. We have King Cold, and one of the most unique decks probably ever, to be honest. If you don't know what King Cold does at this point, I don't know, maybe you've just never seen it. Basically, he's field card gimmick dot deck. So when you start off King Cold's Dynasty. A quick run over, you can play numerous field cards in your battle area. You can have as many copies as you want, just as long as they don't share the same name. And then on the front side, whenever you play a field, you can possibly add a life if you want to, and then draw a card, so he just pluses so much, you don't have to attack or interact. And then good Awaken of Untap 2, very useful. Then on this side, he just draws a card when a field is played, and then activate battle to place one field from your battle area into the drop area to gain 10k. So like pseudo super combo-ish effect. And yeah, this leader just advantage, so much advantage. It's so fun to play, and it has some matchup checks that are just really good. It's really good into yellow. It can be pretty bad in the black, sadly. That's my personal opinion anyway, but one of the best strengths is you can be very uninteractive, which is always fun. Not for the opponent, but very much for me. So start off, we have a good ratio on the fields of 4 Onslaught, 4 Ruler, 2 Invasion, and 2 Realization. So pretty standard. Some people put Invasion to 3, some people put Realization to 3. You can flip-flop. I personally prefer 2-2 because you can recur them so easily. Basically, quick run over. Onslaught's the best one, arguably. When you play it, you draw a card and play a 2 cost or less from the hand, and then auto, when another field is placed in the drop area, you can KO an opponent's 2 cost or less, so you can trigger that with the leader to KO a field, gain 10k, pop something else on their board, really good. We have Ruler. When it's played, you can add up to 1 life from your hand, look at up to the top 3, add a green, bottom deck the rest, and then when it's placed in the drop area, you draw a card, discard a card. Invasion adds a life to make your leader double strike and plus 10k for the turn when it's played, and then when it goes to the drop area, you take 1 marker off a Unison. Really good against Unison heavy decks that want to like swing in with Unisons that buff themselves, things like that. Realization, when it's played, add up to 1 life to hand, then draw a card, and then all of your Frieza clans gain 5k power on your turn if you have 4 or more fields, which you're always going to have 1 off of Dynasty, and then this is himself, so you just need 2 more, very easily done. Yeah, then we get onto the battle cards. We have 4 Berry Blue, pretty standard. Berry Blue, when it's played, searches the top 7 for a field or a 2 cost Unison. You know, pretty standard 1-drop searcher. And then the best part of her is the activate main for 1 green. If your leader's King Cold, you just play a field from the drop area. Really good. So essentially the drop area becomes like a secondary hand for this deck at times. And then this is my own little spice. As I've been working on this deck for so long, I found so many good synergies with this dude. It's Zarbon Cosmic Elite. So not every deck is playing this. Personally, I think it's so good, especially right now. There's just so few ways of getting around this guy. So he's a 5k blocker, and his activate main for 1 green is you can pitch a green card from your hand to play him from the drop area. So it's like you're playing just 1 card from your hand to play a 5k blocker, and then his second auto is what really makes him worth it. So if the opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, when this card is removed from the battle area by a skill or KO'd, the opponent pitches a card from their hand. Now you can trigger this either when you block, if they pop it, if they warp it, or you can even trigger it on your own with things like Paragus the Sacrifice, which comes up next. So Paragus, pretty standard. You just place a card, place a green from your battle area in the drop area, draw a card. So you can have certain synergy with Zarbon, where you send Zarbon, draw 1, Zarbon makes them pitch something. You can then tap 1, get the card that you just drew off of Paragus, if it wasn't that good, play Zarbon again. Or one of the best synergies with Zarbon is to either pitch another copy of himself, or if you have Berry Blue on field, these are some nice little combos, you do Zarbon's activate main, you pitch a field, whichever field you currently want, use Berry Blue, pay 1, play the field. Just brilliant little interactions, pure simple advantage over the opponent, and Zarbon just blocks one, makes him pitch one, and he's also not a once per turn, so you can play multiple copies of him in a turn if you want to. Then we get on to a one-of. We have Frieza, Demolisher of Planet Vegeta. He's just a one-of because he's so situational, and oftentimes he gets sided out, but he is... he comes in and out of the deck. There's certain matchups where he's just amazing. So an auto when it's played, draw a card. And then a second auto when it's played to pay 2 green, to place a field in the drop area, and choose all of the opponent's battle cards, KO them, and he gains 16k and double strike until the end of the opponent's turn. So he nukes the board, not ignoring barrier, and then just swings in for 20k double. He is pricey, because if you play him from hand, he's costing 3. The best thing to do is play him off of Onslaught, because then he becomes a just 2 cost, which gets rid of a field, which can trigger Onslaught if you need to, and then he can just swing in 20k double. Really nice. And then we move on to one of the best ones. This wasn't played for a long time. Now most King Cold lists are running it, is Supreme Ruler. So it's a counter attack, negate the attack, you reduce the cost in your hand for each green card in your battle area. Sorry, each green extra card, so that's your fields, and so he can become a 1 cost. And then when he's played, the opponent can't attack the leader for the turn unless they choose 1 card in the hand, discard it each time. So the reason we're not playing Bupo is because this deck is already so defensive, and you don't really want to use the 2 energy plus the discard for Bupo, because this guy's just 1 energy, he comes down, he's a 15k swing on the next turn, and he's protecting the leader, so 9 times out of 10 the opponent's going to have to swing at the Unison, which you can then block with your Zarbons. So it's just pure controlling, forcing the game state. Then we have the Frieza lineups. We have 2 Revived and Reviled, and 2 Pinnacle of the Clan. So Revived is dual attack blocker, becomes a 2 cost in hand once you have enough fields either in the battle area or drop area. And then he is, once per turn when he activates blocker, you can place a field in the drop area to restand him. So he either becomes a 20k dual attacker, or he becomes a 20k, potentially 2 blocks. And you can buff him up to 25 off of Terrified Realization. And then Pinnacle is one of the best boss monsters, in my opinion, currently. He's so versatile. So he's Deflect, Double Strike 5k. You reduce him down to 3k if you have enough fields in battle area or drop area. So this dude is the dude that has to be played from hand, because this guy can be played off of Anticipated Onslaught because he becomes 2 cost. This guy has to be played from hand for free. And then he has an Activate main to place a field in the drop area, choose 1 card in the opponent's hand and 1 of their battle cards, ignoring barrier, place them in the drop area, and swap this guy to active mode. So, a little bit of hand rip, barrier removal, and it's a 25k double striker that, honestly, effects that swap things to active mode are 9 times out of 10 better than just pure dual attack. And this guy is just so good, because you're playing a control deck that also has such a good boss monster that can clear boards and aggro the opponent. And then, of course, we're playing green, so 4 Terrified Realization. It has even better not Terrified Realization, 4 Charismatic Villain, getting ahead of myself there. This has brilliant synergy in the deck, because of Terrified Realization, can buff this guy up to a 15k. So it's really bad manners, where you can counter their thing, pop it, and then on your own turn swing for a 15k. Which is, like I said, just so many neat little interactions in this deck that make it good. 1 Hidden Might and 1 Wrath. Hidden Might just becoming a staple of green. You can force yourself down to 3 life, which is brilliant. You don't have to rely on your opponent. You can just force yourself to 3 with one of the fields whenever you need it. And then Deity's Wrath, we have things like Charismatic Villain, go on my Hidden Might, even the 5-drop Frieza, which can fuel this. You can even do certain like cheeky little things where you might have a 4-cost Frieza and a Berry Blue, or you might have a Supreme Ruler and a Zarbot. There's lovely little things you can do. Sorry, not the Berry Blue, yeah, the Zarbon. And then, moving on, we have Defending Father Paragus, just the best super combo in green. And then to help close out games, the counter Majin Buu. Pretty standard. Everyone kind of flicks between this Buu, the 2-drop Buu that comes out and stops battle cards attacking, or the Great Ape. You can kind of swap them in and out. It's just personal preference, to be honest. They all offer something unique and a different way you want to play. Then we have, for Unison, Umbral Invader. One of the best Unisons, so it's a core fundamental part of the deck. It's just +1 to play a field from the hand. The -1 doesn't come up very often, but it is just really handy that the opponent chooses one of their battle cards and energy cost of 5 or less and KOs it. Doesn't come up very often, but is just really handy. And then the Activate Battle is a -3. This dude gets triple strike and 5k for each field in the battle area. So you can potentially be swinging for like 40k, 45k. Even, like, he becomes absolutely massive, and the main win con sometimes can just be to swing with this when he's on 4 markers. The opponent goes to counter, you counter, then you activate battle, make him enormous, and it just absolutely punishes the opponent. And then for some final ones, moving on to extra cards, we have Royal Supremacy. This is what honestly can tie the deck all together. Just one of the best counters. It becomes free once you have 3 or more fields, which you're going to be doing that by turn 2 almost every game. And then negate the attack, then choose any number of the opponent's battle cards whose total energy costs add up to 3 or less and KO them. So it can pop 3 costs, it can pop like the Vegeta in Trunks Vegeta, it can pop so many things at the moment, it's so good. It can clear annoying little 1-drops, maybe things like Kai's in blue, other annoying little things. Then we have 2 token negates, staple of the game, well, this format in particular. And then finally, 2 dormants. Again, dormant's not quite the card it used to be, and this deck is already so defensive as it is, so we don't really need 4 dormant, but you know, sometimes it's dormant. It just comes in absolutely clutch when you need it to, and lovely winner's stamp on dormant. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'd definitely try out King Cold. It can be a very hard deck to learn, just because there's so many little interactions you don't realise at first, but it's such a fun deck, and it's kind of carrying green all on its own at the moment.